at this point, we want to look at, we've done these, we've annotated the passage closely, and now we're using the question to plan our answer and also writing a thesis statement. So what is the question really asking you? What can you prove? And plan how you will prove this. So if we return to our writing an essay sheet, firstly we're being asked to make a simple and clear point that answers the question. So we've got two parts to the question, A and B, and we want to answer it. So let's have a look again. What do you learn about crooks? And how do the other characters treat crooks in the novel? And what does the treatment of crooks tell you about attitudes towards black people in society in which the novel is set? So we've got some different ideas here. Firstly, we've got this idea that sympathetic characters treat crooks with more respect, and that some of them treat crooks with less respect. I think, personally, I would choose to focus on a specific character. I'm going to choose to focus on Curly's wife, because there's a lot more detail there about how he's treated, and it ties in with this chapter, and I can talk about it really easily. So I'm going to focus on that. I will mention briefly Curly's father and more generally his treatment, negative treatment there, and I will also talk a little bit about how the sympathetic characters treat him, but I think I would choose to focus on Curly's wife. All right. The other thing that I might choose to focus on is this idea, these weapons, where he's not seen as a threat, because we can interrogate that a little bit as well and look at maybe where he is a bit threatening or where he is less threatening. So, what do we learn about crooks, and how do other characters treat crooks? So in order to write a thesis statement, we need to make a simple and clear point that answers the question. So what is the question really asking us is, what is Crooks like, and why is he like that? That's really what that question is asking you. What's Crooks like? What's his personality like? And why is he like that? You know, how have other characters treated him? So, what can we say? Steinbeck presents Crooks to be separate from the other characters, to be isolated from the other characters. So we've got this sense, we can write some dot points here. So he's separate both physically and psychologically. So in his mind, in his mindset, he's separate from the other characters. So he's isolated. He's also a little bit superior. He has skills. He's permanent. Those are some other ideas that we might bring in. And why is he like that? Well, he's like that because his background. He came from a family that owned property. He's educated, so he can read. He's also like that because of the racism that he has experienced. So his experience of racism. Okay, so Crooks is an intelligent character. He's alone, and he's also a lonely character. So how can we put all of these ideas into a sentence? We want to say that he's a very complex character. So Steinbeck presents Crooks as a complex character who is full of contradictions. He is better educated and more highly skilled than some other characters. But he's also sharp and abrasive. And mistreated. Okay, so we can use this now as a way to map out our answer. So Steinbeck presents Crooks as a complex character who's full of contradictions. He's better educated and more highly skilled than some other characters. He's sharp and abrasive and mistreated. I've left that quite open. You could go back and adapt that or change it if you wanted to, but I think at the moment just listing what we've learned is really, really helpful. It also opens us, leaves us open to explain why he's like that, why he feels so lonely, why he's so separate. Okay, so now we're going to add our context. The passage appears. This passage appears in chapter 4, around halfway through the novel. We have previously seen some exchanges between Crooks and other characters. And heard how the boss gives him hell because he is black. Now, why is it important to put the passage in context? What I've just done is I have explained what we already knew about Crooks. Okay, as well as the boss giving him hell, we have also witnessed Slim treating Crooks with respect and not making him do work that Slim is capable of doing. It's really important to make a link between what we're seeing here and the rest of the novel. It shows that you know what's happening in the novel, and it also shows that you are being... it's really important that you place your understanding of the passage in the broader context of the novel. When you go on to do your GCSE papers, if you are able to demonstrate that knowledge of the chronology and the order of events in a novel, it will really help you to show your understanding. So that's a really important thing to be able to do. And it's the first step, I would say, before you annotate, is making sure, right, okay, I can recognize where this appears in the novel. So what we've done now is that we've come up with our thesis statement and we've come up with our passage, with our context here. The next step would be to introduce a method you want to explore. These sentences sort of form our plan. What you put in your thesis statement is like being able to, it's like having a coat hanger. that you can then put the rest of the essay onto. You can hook everything on this idea that Crooks is a complex character who's full of contradictions. You can list all of the times when he, stands up to Curly's wife, and then when she threatens him with being lynched, with that very subtle episode where she uses her power, the only power that she has, to threaten Crooks. And it's interesting, actually, you could draw out that idea that the only character that Curly's wife has any power over, or the only characters that Curly's wife has any power over, are the weakest characters, the characters who are crippled, the characters who are black, and Lenny, who has a learning difficulty. Okay, so those are the sorts of ideas and things that you want to think about. The next thing that you want to say before you get into the methods is why. Why is Steinbeck presenting Crooks in this way? Well, he wants to make a comment, doesn't he? He's arguing that life should be better for African Americans, and that life should be better for the working class and the migrant workers. So actually, what I would say is Steinbeck uses Crooks to reveal the inequalities in society and argue for better treatment for all. The fact that more sympathetic characters like Slim treat Crooks with respect reveals his view that people should be treated with respect, and that everybody deserves companionship. So here is really your why, and that's your theme that you would then go on to discuss. So what does this introduction look like altogether? Steinbeck presents Crooks as a complex character who is full of contradictions. He is better educated and more highly skilled than some other characters. He is sharp and abrasive and mistreated. This passage appears in chapter 4, around halfway through the novel. We've previously seen some exchanges between Crooks and other characters and heard how the boss gives him hell because he is black. We have also witnessed Slim treating Crooks with respect and not making him do work that Slim is capable of doing. Steinbeck uses Crooks to reveal the inequalities in society and argue for better treatment for all. The fact that more sympathetic characters like Slim treat Crooks with respect reveals his view that people should be treated with respect and everybody deserves companionship. That's your introduction. It doesn't have to be that long. You have started to introduce a method, which is characterization. You've started to introduce this theme of companionship, and you're also crucially answering the question of how society treats black people.